Hi there guys, I'm Manny K SoSo, the robot with Sadama De Beers, and today we are building smart printing. Alrighty, let's get started. Alrighty, so everything you're going to need for the smart printer I have laid out here. The very first thing is you can use any kind of printer. Today I'm going to be using an autolathe. I've got some cables here, depending on where you set it up. Depends on how much cables you will need. I'm going to need 4 consoles, 3 of which are going to be small LED displays, and one of them is just going to be a regular console with this hash display in it. I'm going to need 1 IC housing and 1 integrated circuit. I'm going to need 2 logic switches, of which both will be dials. I have a computer with its IC editor to program the integrated circuit, and I have some walls just so I can put everything up. Okay then, let's get to building it. Alrighty then, so first I'm going to start off with just some walls here, just for all of my logic stuff, and for looks a little bit. I'm going to place my autolathe, and I'm going to place it, just one away from this wall. Not in the wall, but, right next to it. And I'm going to use the wand to build this up. Obviously in survival, you're not going to have the authorizing tool, but, I have it here. For this tutorial, I'm just going to keep the autolathe in this base state. You can upgrade it to the next one. It will work fine with the upgraded models, but for this, I'm just going to use the basic. Alrighty, let's get some consoles down. I'm going to have the quantity display here. I'm going to have my hash display here. I'll have what's required to print and what's going to be left over. And before I forget, I will put the hash display in this one. I might as well flip all of their on switches too, just so they're there and on. And then put some glass on this one. And then I will get some logic switches. And they will be my 2 dials. We'll go here and here. And let's put my IC housing down. Right here is fine. And I need the integrated circuit, which will stick right in there. And then let's wire everything together really quick. You don't have to stick to this wiring plan. This is just, what I'm doing for this tutorial. Because everything just needs to be on the same network. Just always remember that. If it's not on the same network, you will end up with problems. I'll get out this one. And what I mean by, you're going to encounter problems is that you're not going to see everything. So you're not going to be able to hook everything up correctly. And obviously, you want the script to run right. So just make sure all the components are on the same network. And you shouldn't have a problem. I'll bring this down. And then come back to reconnect. And then I need this to come around and connect here. I'll just have a wire coming out here. And I'm going to put up the computer. You don't need the computer for to be right next to everything. I'm just using it for this tutorial to show that I'm programming the chip. You can pre-program the chip, it doesn't really matter. It will still work either way. And then let's get myself some power. I'll use an RTG for this. Flip this on. This console is going to complain about, hey, I don't have a proper connection. Make sure to get out your little data disk, plop it on in there, and then we want to choose the IC housing that we placed down for it. And you can name your IC housing to whatever, it's not going to matter. Something that you're going to be able to get on this console easier for you. You can name it whatever you want. So then now I'm going to label everything. So this is going to be my quantity display. And this is just going to display, the number of that print you want. I'll leave this one alone. This is going to be what is required for the print. So it's going to look at the ingots that are inside the autolathe here, and it will display the ingot hash here. So if, for example, it's on a mug, it's going to say if I have one on there, if I have one quantity, it's going to display 1 on this display. And it will come up as red if I don't have that. And this is what's going to be left over after the print number is reached. Okay, so those are printed, but I'm going to need just a little bit more labels for these two. So I'll take down my wall. If you take down the wall before these have wires going on them, you will notice that they will pop right off. So I will name this my 10s dial, and this one my 1s dial. Put that wall right back up. And let's give them some appropriate numbers. I'll set this one to 9 and this one to 10. You can set this 10 dial to, however how you want. You can go up to 100 on it. For the ones, I recommend no higher than 10. And that's just because, you can set it higher than 10. It will still give you the correct quantities. But, I mean, if you want higher quantities than 10, that's what this 10 style is for. Alrighty, so then, let's go ahead, since I have everything labeled now, let's go ahead and paste the script right in. So there we go, the script is pasted. On the library, you can grab it from here. You can just click the little import button, but for this, I'm just copying and pasting what the code is. I will export it to the housing. So now this is data on it. We can confirm it has the data on it. So then, now we're going to do the dials. This first dial is going to be the autolathe itself. So we will find the autolathe. The next dial is going to be the what's required LED, which is this one. Oop, and there it was. The next dial is going to be the 10s, this dial right here. And there we go. Next one is going to be the 1s dial. Then we're going to have the quantity dial, which is this dial right here. So there it is. And finally, we're going to have what's left over. So we'll have the leftover dial. Then, once it's all ready to go, turn on the IC housing, and you'll see immediately it will start displaying a hash. In this case, an iron ingot. So because I have 0 on this, it's not going to do anything. So let's do 1. So here we can see my quantity is 1. I'm displaying iron. We can confirm the only thing required for this print is just iron. It requires 1 ingot. We can confirm that. And if I wanted this print to be successful, to go completely through, I need at least 1 iron ingot inside of it. So let's look at something a little bit more. What about an arc furnace? So it's requiring 20 iron and 5 copper. So you can just see, switch over to copper, and it switches the displays accordingly. So for the 1, we require 5, and we need at least 5. So let's put some iron in there and see what happens to the displays then. So now the iron's in there. You can see, instead of being red like the copper is right now, it's green, and it tells me how many ingots I'm going to have left over once the print is completed. For this, I'm not going to add any more of that. Let's print some coffee mugs, because everyone wants some coffee. So I'm just going to hit the button, let it go. This switches over to how many it's printed. Once it reaches that number, it will automatically stop the print by turning the machine off and back on again. And we can see I have 2 coffee mugs for me and a friend. Maybe I should give some to Sadamo. I know he loves coffee. And there is also an option in the script to where if I set this to 0, it will print forever. So there's a coffee mug for Drake, Windsinger, and Bear. There we go. Even more coffee mugs. And that will stop until it either runs out of materials or until you tell it to stop. You can obviously hook up a stacker if you wanted to at the end of this, but for me, I don't need it.